Hi, David.
Hi, Rogerio.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Let's see. I can hear you. I can see you. But your logo is backwards.
Okay, I'll flip it. See you soon.
Okay. See you in a bit.
Yeah.
Hi, Sebastian. You have your hand up. You have a question I can help you with?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I don't have a question right now. I just raised it because I think you're going to call on people for a 3-minute share.
Yes, for our first public comment period.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what you want to be called for?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call you when we're ready.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
David, I just want to make sure you can see and hear me.
Okay, hang on just a second, Stacy.
Okay.
I can hear you. Let me see. Hang on. There we go. There you go. Okay, I can hear you. I can see you, and your logo is in the right space.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. See you in a bit. And hi,
Okay.
Isaac. I can see you.
And Michael. Hi, Michael.
Sounds good, David. Is my logo in the right space?
Michael, let me see. Hang on. Let me find you. Okay, there you are. Okay, yeah. Hear you. I can see you and your background. There you go. Perfect.
Hi, David.
Hi. Hi, Michael.
I'm here now. I tried before. I don't know what happened.
I noticed, yeah, your video
Okay.
wasn't working, it looked like.
Yeah, minor hiccup. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just
So you're all-
restarted to make sure there were no issues.
yeah, perfect. You're all good to go.
Thanks.
See you in a bit.
Okay, it's 6:30, everyone. I think everyone is here. Let's make sure. CO1, the 2, 3.
Chair, we still have a couple subcommittee members that still need to show up.
Okay, I believe we are still waiting on,
Vice Chair Thomas and I believe Commissioner Greg Wall.
yeah, he will be joining us this evening, I believe.
Okay, here comes Commissioner Greg Wall. I believe all we're waiting for now is Vice Chair Thomas. Okay, and here comes Vice Chair Thomas. So
There she is. Okay, awesome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. In an effort to protect public health and prevent the spread of COVID-19, AB 361 has authorized public meetings to take place via teleconference because state and local officials are recommending measures to promote social distancing. This Planning Commission meeting is being conducted by a teleconference on the city's website and is also provided on a wide array of streaming media platforms to offer access to the public to the fullest extent possible. WehoTV staff have confirmed that this Planning Commission meeting is currently streaming successfully on Spectrum Channel 10 and online at weho.org/WehoTV. In addition, and as a courtesy, this meeting is also successfully streaming on the city's YouTube channel at youtube.com/WehoTV and on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV. WehoTV staff monitor this broadcast on all platforms throughout the meeting and will notify the Planning Commission Secretary should broadcast disruptions arise. Please do not interrupt the live meetings by calling or texting the Planning Commissioners about difficulties viewing the meeting. In addition, you may call in to listen to this meeting by dialing 669-900-6833, enter meeting ID 848-4363-6454, and then press the pound sign. Please understand that internet speeds, device reliability, third-party platform reliability, and individual or personal technical issues are out of the scope of this broadcast. If you are experiencing viewing difficulties while watching this live stream, please reload the page or visit weho.org/WehoTV to access our official live stream and to view a list of other available streaming options and a guide to troubleshoot your connection. If you continue to experience difficulties, you can also call 323-848-3151. And I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the West Hollywood Planning Commission. It is Thursday, September 15th. Welcome all. The West Hollywood Planning Commission acknowledges that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and Gabrielino Kij peoples. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Well, I certainly have a lot of people I could choose from this evening. I'm looking for someone to help me out here. It'd be so much easier if we were in the auditorium. Commissioner Carvallero, would you be willing to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course.
Thank you.
Hand of your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for gamely acquiescing to my request. Item 3 is roll call. David, can you please call roll for us?
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Commissioner Meadows,
Present.
Commissioner Lombardi,
Present.
Commissioner Gregoire,
Present.
Commissioner Copeland,
Present.
Commissioner Carvallero,
Present.
Vice Chair Thomas,
Here.
Chair Jones,
Here.
and we have a full quorum.
Great, thank you. Next item of business is approval of the agenda. So a couple of notes. One is that the item 10B, 8527 to 8555 Santa Monica Boulevard and 8532 to 8552 Northwest Knoll Drive, there has been a recommendation for continuance from staff for this item. I also should note that item 10C, the ZTA to update accessory and junior accessory dwelling unit regulations, has also been recommended for a continuance by staff because of pending state legislation that we expect to be signed into law by the governor in the next couple of weeks. I believe we should call a vote on this unless anyone has any additional requests for changes or amendments. I do want to note that Commissioner Gregoire, please go ahead.
Yes, I live within 500 feet of 8555 Santa Monica Boulevard. Therefore, I'm going to have to recuse myself from this procedural vote to continue it. So I will be muting and won't participate in the vote.
Great, thank you. I was just about to say that. You did my job for me. Thank you very much. So with that, do we have any other changes or recommendations for changes to the agenda as I just stated it for this evening?
Chair, just one note of clarification. I believe the item 855 Santa Monica is the request is for a date certain, And I believe that date's certain, and just to note on the record, is
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Yes, thank you for clarification. So just to be clear again, we have recommendations for continuances for items 10B and 10C, with the item 10B date certain continuance being November 3rd of this year. Unless, do I hear any protest to these changes? It looks like not. David, can you please call the roll, or the vote rather?
Can we have a motion, please? And a
I make a
second.
I will.
I'll motion.
I'm sorry. Who did what?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as noted.
Thank you, Commissioner Carvalero.
I will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Lombardi. Commissioner Matos,
Aye.
Commissioner Lombardi,
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland,
Aye.
Commissioner Carvalero,
Yes,
Vice Chair Thomas,
Yes.
Chair Jones,
Yes.
and the agenda is approved as amended, notating the two items that have been continued, and Commissioner Gregoire, a vote is a recusal. You're muted, Chair.
Thank you for calling that out. Item 5 is for a vote on the approval of the minutes for September 1st, 2022. We do have a request from staff for a continuance of this because of the Labor Day holiday. There were some administrative time constraints here. So they are recommending that we continue this to Thursday, October 6th, which is our next scheduled meeting. Do I have any other changes or protests to the proposed continuance? If not, does anyone have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Copeland.
Second.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carvalero,
yes,
Commissioner Copeland,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregoire,
Yes.
Commissioner Lombardi,
Yes.
Commissioner Matos,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thomas,
Yes.
Chair Jones,
Yes.
and we have a unanimous vote noting the minutes for 9/1/2022 will be continued to October 6th, 2022.
Great, thank you. Okay, item 6 is public comment. David, do we have any speakers this evening?
Actually, Chair, I do have a couple speakers. If there is anybody on the platform that would like to speak under this general comment section, if you're on the Zoom platform, just use the raise hand feature for me. If you're calling in, just hit *9 for me, and that'll let me know you'd like to speak. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you. And please do state your name and city of residence when you speak. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Our first public speaker will be Sebastian. Sebastian, go ahead, and there you go.
Hi.
You
Yes,
have 3 minutes.
I am Sebastian. I'm a resident of West Hollywood. I'm at the Holloway Terrace building. And basically, thank you so much for having me. I wanted to participate because I saw that there's a new compound, to be built on Santa Monica Boulevard and West Knoll. And I was reading that it's a 5-story building, and I'm worried that that's going to block my view, from the building that we're in. It's going to block the view actually of all the ones facing south here on the west, on the Holloway Terrace. There is a building across from what the compound is going to be built, the 8535 West Knoll, which is also a 4-story building, the same as mine, but because of the elevation of the ground, we're above it. And if there is a 5-story building built right after that, then it's not only going to block the view, but it's also going to interfere with the privacy of all the units here, because we would be staring directly at our neighbors and they would be staring at us. So I'm all for the building. I was just hoping that it will be limited to a 4-story building if possible. I know they made some concessions with the Ramada Hotel. And
Sebastian, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to note the item that you're speaking on has been continued to the first meeting in November. So the general public comment period is meant to address items not on the agenda. So I just wanted to make that clear, and that you are aware that the item will be considered and public comment will be taken on November 3rd. And apologies to interrupt.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sebastian. Our next public speaker will be Lynn Russell. Lynn will be followed by Lynn Hoopengarner. Go ahead, Lynn, unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Are we on?
Yes, we are. Go ahead, Lynn.
Good. Lynn Russell, West Hollywood. Good evening, Chair Jones and fellow commissioners. It is my intent to encourage the commissioners to give greater consideration to their task during design review. In spite of the Housing Accountability Act, which appears to have a perhaps unintended consequence of eroding much of the context and architectural values of our neighborhoods, there is really no mandate requiring developers to produce careless, opportunistic projects devoid of aesthetic elements that originally were represented in the city throughout its cultural resources and lesser buildings that provide livability and context to our neighborhoods. Design review is the only time to strongly advance these values to improve any project, and the likelihood of any substantive changes when it reaches the full commission are less likely, barring a citizen's appeal, which is often untenable. So please scrutinize the aesthetic aspects and of every project to achieve the best possible values. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn. And our next and final speaker, it looks like, will be Lynn Hoopengarner. Lynn, go ahead and unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
And thank you, planning commissioners. I know that the item 8555 was continued, and I didn't want you to miss the opportunity to hear from me at a meeting. I just knew you would miss me that much. So I do have just some general comments. Years ago, under items from Commissioner, I requested that EIRs be delivered to the Planning Commission immediately upon publication to allow sufficient time for review. As you know, these documents are rarely less than 1,000 pages, and it's a tremendous investment in order to review them and to receive them as part of a Planning Commission package with less than 6 days to review prior to a hearing is just not tenable. You know, most of you have real jobs and real work, and it would be at the minimum a courtesy for staff to make sure that they deliver these documents in a timely fashion. In this particular case, it was a rather egregious example of an FEIR that was dropped less than 15 days before a scheduled hearing and was not delivered to the Planning Commission or to the public until notice of this hearing. And I, for one, found it extraordinarily difficult, and I'm not done reading those 1,000 pages. When a project is brought that is not complying with current code, staff report needs to identify exactly which code is applying and why. In this particular case, but this applies to potentially other cases where the deemed complete date has resulted in code that is being applied that is completely different than what is current, it should be explicitly clear to you and to the public as to what the findings are going to be and what code is being applied so that everyone is crystal clear. In this particular case, when I went to the website and looked up the code, I said, well, that's funny, live work needs to be on the street. But wait a minute, I happen to recall that we voted to change that in 2019, which is after the deemed complete date on this. So, but that's only because I had the institutional memory of remembering that thing happened. And so I think that there's some opportunities for some improvements in the public process and transparency. And in particular, back to noticing, staff has lists of people that have attended neighborhood meetings. They have the name of the president of neighborhood associations. At a minimum, those people should be noticed of when that FEIR is available as well, so that they are not subject to the same sort of 6-day notice on large documents. Thank you, and have a lovely short meeting.
Thank you, Lynn. Chair, that is our last public speaker for this general comment period.
Great, thank you, David. If we have missed anyone, please do raise your hand, the little hand button to speak. I also just want to note that there will be another public comment period, probably in about 10 minutes. So you can speak then as well, thank you. So we'll move right along. Item 7 is the director's report. Do we have Mr. John Kehoe here this evening to share that with us?
Yes, I am here. Nice to see you, Chair and members of the Commission. John Kehoe, Director of Planning and Development Services. So I can give a brief update on some upcoming items at the City Council meeting on Monday, September 19th. We will have 2 ZTA public hearings. Those are those fairly simple zone text amendments that went to the Planning Commission previously. One on prohibiting new fossil fuel service stations, another one doing a cleanup on the language regarding MCUP and extended hours. So those 2 hopefully will be rather quick. We also have 2 other items of interest to the Planning Commission, or at least I think they would be interesting to the Planning Commission. One would be adoption of a new urgency ordinance. It would be an extension of urgency ordinances that we adopted during the pandemic that allowed planning and buildings and safety permits that were expiring to give them additional length and time because of the pandemic restrictions and complications in development projects. So that's back on the agenda to add 1 more year to those extensions, but to only those that are housing projects, so projects that have 2/3 housing, because we want to make sure those housing projects can keep moving through the process. And then the last item that will most likely be of interest to people is we have a discussion item on the Dockless Mobility program. So that's a pilot program we're operating on now, and so staff will be making a presentation update to the City Council, and the City Council can give us some more direction on what they would envision for Dockless Mobility. And that's my update for tonight.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the director? I'll take that as a no. Thank you. We will move right along here. So we will move on to our sole public hearing for this evening, given the amended agenda. That is item 10A, 950 North Ogden Drive and 7760 Romain Street. This is a public hearing to consider a request to subdivide a 3-story, 10-unit residential development into a common interest development. And I will toss this over to staff at this. Oh, Commissioner Lombardi, please go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
We may have skipped over items from commissioners.
Oh, you're right. I sure did.
Thanks.
Sorry, that's my bad.
I know we all
Okay.
want a quick meeting.
We're going to go back. That's my bad. I was ready for like an 8-hour meeting tonight. I don't know about you. So I will jog back to items from commissioners, which is item 8. Thank you very much for correcting me. Would anyone like to speak? Commissioner Lombardi, do you have a comment?
Yeah,
Please
maybe
go
I
ahead.
do. Sure, I'll go while I'm unmuted. No, just really quick, and Lynn Hoopengarner touched on some of this just now in public comment, but I just wanted to note regarding item 10B, which has been continued. I know that a lot of people are very eager to get this site developed and keep the process moving. It's been a long time in the making, but I would appreciate if staff could help clarify what the timeline is for a review process with EIRs. It sounds like this request has been made previously by commissioners to establish appropriate timeframes to receive and review documents. And I know on my end, I have a busy week this week, and I struggled with the mountain of information, and just doesn't seem like it was enough time. And I feel like we should maybe better formalize the delivery of this information and make sure that we're all on the same page. Because I was a little disappointed in that. I like to do a really good and thorough job, and I felt like I was a little bit handicapped there. So I think we do need sufficient time to review this information to do our job, and likewise for the public, for anyone that's a busy professional and short on time, what if they live in the neighborhood and they want to read this document, and they might not know day one that it's posted and the meeting's a day or two away. They can hardly read through it. So I think we need to sort through some of that. And one other thing I wanted to add, and this was brought up as well in public comments, I did ask of staff earlier this week about the design review subcommittee, and asked why we didn't have a meeting for this project since it's been so long. I understand there's reasons to that, so maybe an explanation would be helpful since the public has brought that up. But again, I think that a lot of this can help guide and steer a project through smoothly by the time it gets to the Planning Commission, and that's what my concern is relating to that.
And Commissioner Lombardi, just one note I want to say, I think for the general comments on process and timing, that's a question staff can answer, but I just want to be cognizant that in terms of substantive items that relate to past meetings with the project that was continued, we want to reserve those for our continued public hearing on the 3rd.
Of course. However, design review subcommittee meetings before projects come to the Planning Commission are appreciated, and maybe there could be some clarity on why that may or may not happen on a project like this.
Thank you.
Do you want a response now or in items from staff? Sorry, Chair. I can respond to, I guess I'll go for it now. So I'm sensitive to that. The timing of a lot of information coming at people is why we are suggesting why we suggested a continuance this evening. We can look at better establishing timelines. I think it is a pretty set timeline of a week before a meeting for the materials to be out. I'm not sure what other question you had. I'm sorry, Commissioner Lombardi. Did I cover everything?
Sure. I mean, my question was specifically to EIRs because they're lengthy documents. So when that comes in tandem with a project that's being heard, that's where it gets difficult, I feel. Sure. And the extra time is appreciated. The other question related to design review subcommittee, which I happen to be on, and if a project maybe doesn't go to the design review subcommittee, which I think can help smooth out the process, why that may not happen on a project such as item 10B.
Yeah, the answer to that one is more specific to this project. So in light of the city attorney's comments, I think we'll wait and bring that forward on November 3rd and explain the process for this because it was a little bit different. And as far as the EIRs go, just noting that we have comment hearings during the draft phase of the EIR to make sure that people have a chance to understand and be able to comment on the draft EIR. And then the final, the requirement for the final is that it is posted 10 days before any decision is made. We gave 14 days. I did notify this body and the public that was watching, and I get that that's not always caught in a planning commission meeting, but in items from staff, I let everyone know that was available, and we do work to get the information out as soon as possible. But your point is well taken, and we will look at our processes and see if there's a way that we can get that information out sooner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items from commissioners at this time?
I just have a question, if I may, Chair.
Please go ahead.
I guess in follow-up to Commissioner Lombardi's point, my question to staff would be, would it be a good move to agendize the discussion for when that information would be presented, specifically the EIRs, to agendize that as a discussion for a later meeting?
And I would just step in again, just to note, I think it may be a request to agendize even the larger conversation for a subsequent meeting about agendizing. I know that sounds a little silly, but I think maybe that's something that can be put as a future discussion item.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. if that's an option.
We can look at that, yes.
Would it require a motion? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Matos. Any other items from commissioners at this time? All right. There being none, I'm gonna just back this up to item 9, which is our consent calendar. There is none. And now we will proceed to item 10A. Thank you to Commissioner Lombardi. What would we do without you? This is again an item for 950 North Ogden Drive and 7760 Romain Street. This is a public hearing to consider a request to divide a 3-story 10-unit residential development into a common interest development for the properties in question. And it looks like Tony will be giving us the staff report this evening. Tony, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And good evening, Chair Jones and Vice Chair Thomas and members of the Commission. My name is Antonio Castillo, Senior Planner with the Current and Historic Preservation Planning Division. As you mentioned, Chair, the item before you this evening is a tentative track map to subdivide a multifamily residential development into a common interest development, which is a condominium. The project site consists of 2 relatively flat parcels located on the south side of Romain Street between Ogden to the west and Genesee Avenue to the east. The site measures approximately 50 feet in width and 260 feet in length that runs across the entire Romain side of the street. The lot size or the project site size is a little bit under 13,000 square feet. This subdivision was previously approved by the Planning Commission in January of 2016, concurrent with the development that this property maintains. It was approved in January 2016 and expired 24 months later on January 2018 because the map was not finalized. However, the development proceeded and it's currently in the final stages of construction. The development is a approximately 14,500 square foot, 3-story, 10-unit residential building with a single level of subterranean parking garage. Similar to the initial approval for the subdivision in 2016, it is staff's assessment that this tentative track map meets the required findings as outlined in your draft resolution. The approved project which is currently under construction, complies with the density of dwellings within the R3B zoning district and all applicable development standards under the zoning ordinance. As previously affirmed by the Commission in its adoption of the resolution in 2016, the subdivision of the building will not be detrimental to the public welfare and will not impede implementation of the general plan, nor the purpose and intent of the provisions of the zoning ordinance. And therefore, staff recommends approval of the subdivision permit as conditioned in the draft resolution included in your packet. And that concludes my presentation, Chair. I'm available for any questions if you have any. The applicant is also in the Zoom room that may have any answers to any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony.
Sure.
Do we have any questions for staff at this time from commissioners? And it looks like a no. David, do we have any public comment?
Chair, I received no public comments for this item. However, if there is anybody that would like to make a comment, please raise hand feature in the Zoom platform or *9 if you're calling in, and we can give you 3 minutes. And Chair, it looks like we are all clear.
Great, thank you. So with that, I am going to, unless anyone has any questions for staff or the applicant at this time, I will go ahead and close the public comment portion of the hearing, and we can move into deliberation as commission. Do I have a first commenter or a motion on the floor?
I move approval of the draft resolution.
I'll second the motion from Commissioner Gregoire.
Great, thank you. Do we have any further items for discussion, or are we ready to call the vote? Looks like we're ready to call the vote, David.
Thank you. Commissioner Gregoire.
Yes.
Commissioner Matos.
Yes.
Commissioner Lombardi.
Yes.
Commissioner Copeland.
Yes.
Commissioner Carvalero.
Yes.
Vice Chair Thomas.
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
And the motion carries unanimously. And we do have an appeal process. The resolution the Planning Commission just approved memorializes the Commission's final action on this matter. This action is subject to appeal to the City Council. Appeals must be submitted within 10 calendar days from this date to the City Clerk's office. Appeals must be in writing and accompanied by the required fees. The City Clerk's office can provide appeal forms and information of fees.
Great, thank you, David. If you just joined us, again, the agenda was revised this evening so that items 10B and 10C are being continued, item 10B to a date certain of November the 3rd. With that, I'll move on to item 11, new business, there is none. Item 12, unfinished business, there is none. Item 13, excluded consent calendar, there is none. Item 14A is items from staff, and we have our planning manager's update. Jennifer Alkire, do you have any news for us? What's the word?
I've got lots of news. Okay. So upcoming agendas first, we will go through those. So on October 6th, we'll be looking at another subdivision similar to the one we saw tonight at 914 West Knoll. We will see a general plan consistency for a billboard at the Holloway Motel. And for property acquisition, also general plan consistency for the same address. It's at 8465 Santa Monica Boulevard. And we will be looking at a zone text amendment for West Hollywood West Design Review Standards. And on October 20th, we will see a mixed use housing development at 8500 Santa Monica Boulevard. We will be looking at a billboard at 8901 Sunset Boulevard, which is the Whiskey. And we will be looking at an environmental impact report comment hearing. That is for 9160 to 9176 Sunset Boulevard. That draft environmental impact report will be published next Thursday, a week from today, September 22nd. It will be available on our website. There is a mailing and a newspaper notice that will be going out to that effect, so keep an eye out. And if you have any questions or would like somebody to point you to where that is, feel free to give me an email or a call. And for the public listening, I am at JALKIRE, that's JALKIRE at WeHo.org. I'm happy to help you out to find that. And we will be looking at an update to the outdoor dining program. That's October 20th, just to reiterate. And then November 3rd, just to go a little bit ahead of where I normally would, we have several subdivisions similar to the one we saw tonight. 3 of them are right next to one another, so they're all sort of grouped together, and those are on Ogden and another one on Fairfax. We will have the continued public hearing for the item from this evening, the mixed use project at 8555 Santa Monica Boulevard, among other addresses that I don't recall offhand. And we will be looking at another billboard at 8497 to 8499 Sunset Boulevard, and another zone text amendment regarding gender neutral multi-stall restrooms. So these are some hefty agendas coming up. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up because, you know, again, we will have a lot of materials with these related to these projects. They're all varied. So just, we're always here for questions. So let us know if you have any issues or questions as they come up. Next, I wanted to let everyone know that despite the vote that we took last week or 2 weeks ago regarding keeping the meetings virtual, there's been some council direction to have all of our public meetings go back to an in-person format. So beginning in October, we will be fully in person. And by fully in person, I mean hybrid. So similar to my understanding is similar to the meeting that we had, I believe in July, where we had the one meeting that was in person. We will have availability for people to join by Zoom, as well as come to the council chambers to participate in person as well. So that will begin on October 6th. And then that also applies to all of the subcommittees. They also, I believe, need to be in person. So the council meets on Monday, and that they will, I'm sure, have more direction in that regard, and we can sort of take that as it comes. But as far as I know, right now, we're going to go back to in-person meetings. Finally, I will go ahead and do the subcommittee piece just because I'm already on a roll. We don't have anything coming up for design review subcommittee in the next couple of months. We do have a couple of things for the Sunset Arts and Advertising subcommittee. I know that we have sort of been hesitant to set a particular, to have a particular schedule because we weren't sure which meetings we would need, but I think we're going to have to start putting those back on a more regular basis. So right now we've already scheduled the September 22nd Sunset Arts and Advertising subcommittee meeting. That will be on Zoom. Still, it's 8590 Sunset Boulevard billboard. And then we will have another meeting on October 13th. That is the second Thursday of October at 8501 Sunset Boulevard. So the members of the Sunset Arts and Advertising Subcommittee, if you know that you are not available on October 13th, please let me know and I will, sorry, I misspoke. I will go back to that, but if you're not available on October 13th, please let me know. And the Long Range Planning Project Subcommittee has a meeting on October 20th. It is hotel rooftop additions and zone text amendment for evaluating parking minimums. That's on October 20th. I just received word that I misspoke, that subcommittees will stay virtual for now. If that changes, we'll let you know. I know it's kind of back and forth, so I apologize for that. So subcommittees will stay virtual for now. Planning Commission will go back in person. And if there are any, Commissioner Thomas, or Vice Chair Thomas, I'm sorry.
So long range meets right before planning.
I know. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think, and we will follow up when we post the agendas for these meetings as to the exact locations. I suspect that Long Range Planning Project Subcommittee will stay in person if the Planning Commission meetings are in person, because of the fact that everybody's already there and the subcommittee meetings happen right before the Planning Commission meetings. So again, I apologize. I know this is confusing. I think we're all trying to just get our bearings and figure out how things phase back in. So I apologize for that. So if hopefully in all of that, you guys got what's coming up on the agendas, but if you have questions, please let me know.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. Any questions for Jennifer at this time? Okay. I'm going to take that as a no. Item 15 is public comment. David, do we have any public speakers at this time?
Chair, I received no public comment forms for this, but however, well, they just disappeared. If there is anybody on, there we go.
There they are.
Okay, we do have one. If there is anybody else on the platform that would like to make a general comment, please use the raise hand feature or *9 for me if you're calling in. For the caller from 5307, please unmute *6 and you have 3 minutes.
Are we on?
Yes, we are. Go ahead, please.
Again, it's Lynn Russell. I simply couldn't let this pass. I was not quick enough to speak during 10A, the item that you just approved. But I wanted to shed a verbal tear for the 950 North Ogden property, which was a gem of a property. It was a Dutch colonial on a corner lot. I don't know if many of you remember this, but it was surrounded by a high hedge. And it just lost the battle during the cusp of our cultural assessments, when that was just kind of breaking ground. But it remains heartbreaking. And if anybody cares to see a picture, you can Google 950 North Ogden, and there's still a lovely picture of it there. So it's even more heartbreaking, and I must be real candid about this, especially considering the design of the project at 950 North Ogden and 7760 Romain. It just takes my breath away. So there you have it. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Lynn. And Chair, that is our last public speaker.
Great, thank you very much. With that, I'll move on to items from commissioners. That's item 16. Commissioner Vice Chair Thomas, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was not at the last meeting, so I did not get an opportunity to welcome Commissioner Matos. So I wanted to say welcome. I look forward to working with you. That's it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Thomas.
Excellent. Any other items from commissioners at this time? I just want to state again for the record that I will not be at the October 6th Planning Commission meeting. That is our next meeting, and it will be in person, it sounds like. I will be out of town. I announced this at our last couple of meetings, but I did want to state that for the record. So you will be led by the incomparable Vice Chair Marquita Thomas in the meeting that evening. So I just want to let all of you know that. Vice Chair Thomas, please go ahead.
My apologies. I just wanted to, and I don't know if this will impact the October 6th meeting, but I did have a death in the family today, and I don't know what that will mean for my schedule moving forward. So I just wanted to find out from staff now, on the very off chance that I am not in attendance on the 6th, what does that mean for in terms of who will be chairing the meeting? On the off chance that I am not able to attend.
I am not 100% sure what happens if both chair and vice chair are out. If Isaac, maybe my time's up.
Yeah, I think generally it would come down to past practice, and we'll look at our policies, Vice Chair Jones, and please rest assured we will, we'll have, provided we have a quorum, my condolences, and the city will figure it out if that does occur.
Okay, thank you. And I will of course keep you informed.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we're so sorry to hear that, Vice Chair Thomas. Any other commissioner comments at this time? Any subcommittee management call outs about attendance? Sounds like no. This is a very low drama meeting. Okay, with that, unless anyone has any other comments, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. We will adjourn again to a regularly scheduled meeting on Thursday, October 6th at 6:30 p.m. It sounds like in council chambers at West Hollywood Park. We look forward to seeing you there. Everyone, please have a wonderful and safe rest of your week and weekend. Take good care.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.